Generally, we believe that superheroes exist to save the world, not to bring about its destruction. But that hasn't always been the case in comics. There have been multiple cases in which superheroes have almost caused the destruction of the entire globe, even obliteration on a multiversal scale, either intentionally or unintentionally. As some of these instances occurred on alternate Earths, featuring more nefarious versions of our beloved heroes. So with that in mind, let's get to our list of the top 10 superheroes who almost destroyed the world. Starting us off in at number 10, Hal Jordan. Sure, there are a handful of reasons why one would dislike Hal Jordan, mainly obnoxious personality trait based reasons. No offense if you adore him, that actually was not an attack on his character. But at one point we all universally disliked Hal Jordan. Once upon a time, Jordan was possessed by the evil entity Parallax and threatened to destroy the world. Okay, context here. As a result of the death of Superman's storyline, Coast City was destroyed, Coast City being Jordan's home. Distraught with grief, he became further susceptible to Parallax's influence. The entity, who is the embodiment of fear, had targeted the Green Lantern for a while, and this was the perfect opportunity to finally act out its plan. It manipulated Hal to go on a murder streak, seemingly killing Sinestro and other Lanterns, and destroying the central power battery, which had imprisoned Parallax. See what the fear entity did there? Yeah. He was eventually set free of Parallax's possession when the Spectre bonded to Jordan's infected soul and expelled the entity from him. And at number 9, Barry Allen. Accidentally almost destroying the world counts on this list, which means Barry Allen finds himself making an appearance at this number, thanks to Flashpoint. The Flashpoint story arc came out in 2011, and featured Barry in an alternate timeline that only he was aware of. He wakes up one day to discover that his mother is still alive, his father was never framed for her death, Superman is seemingly non-existent, and a lot of our favorite heroes are pretty villainous, with Wonder Woman and Aquaman on a warpath that has caused much of Europe to be destroyed and has killed millions. There is no Justice League. Batman is Thomas Wayne, and Martha Wayne became the Joker, and Bruce was the one who was shot and killed in that alleyway. Dark, right? In order to save the previous timeline, Barry must travel back in time, ultimately causing the hero to sacrifice his own happiness and lose his mother yet again in order to set things right. It also caused the reset of the DC Universe, which caused the New 52 reset, which was until recently believed to be the Flash's fault. But turns out it was actually Dr. Manhattan's doing all along. Gotta love a retcon that retcons the retcon. Up next, number 8, Black Bolt. The Inhuman King, Black Bolt, is generally perceived as a force of good, and for the most part he is. But his powers have the capacity to destroy whole planets at full strength. Black Bolt has a destructive hypersonic voice and can manipulate particles. A whisper of his can be utterly devastating, and his shout could cause earth-shattering effects. That's not all though. After Secret Invasion and a crossover event called War of Kings, he went a little mad, and put not only the Earth, but all the Inhumans that he ruled and other civilizations at great risk. He decided to go after the Kree Empire himself, with whom the Inhumans had longtime beef, and declared war on them. After defeating Ronan the Accuser, he took over the Kree Empire as its ruler. Then he decided to go after the Shi'ar Empire, which was ruled by Vulcan, leading to devastating effects, only stopped by a bomb detonating and making readers presume that Black Bolt was dead. Spoiler, he came back. And at 7, the Hulk as Maestro. In 1992, The Incredible Hulk Future Imperfect was released, which featured a Hulk from an alternate future who possessed Banner's intelligence and the Hulk's more sinister personality traits. This was the Maestro. He possesses the same powers as the Hulk, but is more experienced and has absorbed a century's worth of radiation thanks to the fallout from nuclear wars on Earth, the same wars that pretty much decimated the planet, allowing for him to claim leadership over it. He is a tyrant and even goes as far as breaking the 616 Hulk's neck, which gives him some time to show him around his Earth in an attempt to convince the younger version to join him. All in all, this version of the Hulk took advantage of the destroyed Earth and made an even worse one out of it. And at 6, Professor X as Onslaught. Professor X is one of the most honorable and respectable characters in Marvel's roster of heroes, but because of how he restricts himself, there have been instances in which he's accidentally put the Earth at risk. This includes a time when part of him became corrupted and transformed into Onslaught. If you're unfamiliar with the storyline that occurred in 1996, during a battle against Magneto and his acolytes, Xavier used his powers to shut down Magneto's mind, forcing the Master of Magnetism to become catatonic. While this occurred, the darkest aspect of Magneto's mind would escape into Charles' subconscious, merging with Xavier's darker nature to grow into a separate persona with psychic omnipotence that was considered an Omega-level mutant. He went out, conquered Manhattan, and eventually grew so powerful that he became a being of pure psionic energy, and all the other heroes in the Marvel Universe who weren't X-Men had to charge into him, absorb his energy, and then get killed, except they were put into a pocket universe by Franklin Richards. because yay, comics, and then this began the Heroes Reborn saga, which a lot of people hated. All in all, Xavier was bad. And at number 5, Superman. Okay, for starters, we could argue that Superman almost destroyed the world in the Death of Superman story arc because his fake death was a catalyst for Hal Jordan becoming possessed by Parallax, all because the copycat Superman showed up in his wake and destroyed Coast City. But I won't go there right now. There are plenty of alternate versions of Superman who have threatened to cause the planet's end through various means, like the Red Sun Superman who operated in and for the Soviet Union, and the Injustice Superman, who killed the Joker and then decided that humanity needed a totalitarian figure to keep it safe, since preventing crime and tragedy wasn't working out too well. Now for context, this idea was spawned out of grief when the Joker tricked Superman into murdering Lois Lane and his unborn child. That Superman alternate would then become entirely corrupt, threatening to ruin the world entirely. And at 4, Batman. Batman is a character who has saved the world plenty of times, but has also put it at severe risk too. Generally, he always prevails and prevents the multiverse from going kaput, but there has been a handful of close calls in his past. Let's focus on one particular instance though, in the Dark Knight's Metal story event. While you cannot blame the Caped Crusader for the emergence of multiple evil alternate Earth versions of himself, there are plenty, and all of them are nefarious and horrifying, Bruce did act as a catalyst of sorts for the entity that brought those evil Batman together out of the dark multiverse, the demon Barbatos, who set out to conquer and destroy the regular multiverse. An investigation of Batman's accidentally opened up the gateway to the dark multiverse, which was, as we said, the catalyst for the whole story event. Yeah, yikes, that's putting a lot of on the line. Luckily, the heroes prevailed. And at 3, Jean Grey. Jean Grey is one of the most iconic X-Men characters of all time. But during the Phoenix Saga, or rather the Dark Phoenix Saga, after Jean is exposed to the deadly radiation of a solar flare, she is bonded to the Phoenix entity, although at the time it wasn't a separate entity. It was later established via retcon to alleviate Jean of her sins while she was under its possession. Girl committed genocide after consuming a star, so yeah, you can see why they would want to retcon that a little bit. But it could have been much worse than a handful of retcons and Jean dying a bunch of times. This is evident from one of Marvel's What If stories. From issue 21, volume 1, What If Phoenix Had Not Died? It's a tale that takes a slightly different approach to the beginning of the Phoenix Saga, except it sees Jean Grey going on a rampage at Xavier's mansion, killing a bunch of mutants, including Cyclops, and ultimately the Phoenix Force consumes her and the world, expanding outwards into the universe and basically gobbling up everything in its reach. So yeah, to suggest that on Earth 616 this could have been a reality is actually no understatement. And at 2, Cyclops. Speaking of the Phoenix Force, let's talk about another time it possessed someone and almost destroyed the Earth. We're talking with Cyclops and his Phoenix 5. During Avengers vs. X-Men in 2012, Iron Man would split up the Phoenix Force, causing it to possess multiple individuals who would then call themselves the Phoenix 5. This included Cyclops, who led the team, Emma Frost, Namor, Magik, and Colossus. Together they built a new utopia, a floating fortress, a haven for mutants. The Avengers though didn't trust them, and sought to rescue Hope Summers from Utopia. They almost failed if it wasn't for Scarlet Witch's intervention. This prompted Scott to want to hunt down the Avengers, and during these events, eventually all of the Phoenix's power transferred to him. Charles Xavier attempted to stop Scott, but instead, Scott murdered him, fully becoming the Dark Phoenix. He then began to cause havoc across the globe, including earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and fire raining from the sky. Eventually he is depowered after taking an ass whooping by Hope and Scarlet Witch. And finally, in at number 1, Molecule Man. Here we have a character who is constantly threatening to destroy the world, simply by existing. Molecule Man is an incredibly powerful character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby back in 1963. He is capable of molecular manipulation and reality warping, the latter occurring on a multiversal scale. It was revealed in Secret Wars Volume 2, Issue 9 that Molecule Man, aka Owen Reese, is a multiversal composite entity, who is a single creature that manifests fractions of its entire being in each universe within the Marvel multiverse. You might see where this is going. So, how did Owen almost destroy the world? Well, actually, he almost destroyed the multiverse. This occurred when he duked it out with the Beyonder, and their battle took place in more than 3 spatial dimensions, threatening to completely obliterate the multiverse itself. We would later learn that the primary function of Reese was to serve as a living bomb, one capable of destroying the entire universe that he inhabits if he dies for any reason, which was a deliberate design crafted by the Beyonders, also the ones who place a slice of him into each universe simultaneously. The less divided he is across the multiverse, the more mentally unstable and dangerous Reese becomes. Yikes. Alright, there we have it, friends. What other superheroes can you think of are capable of destroying the Earth? Give us a shout in those comments below and share your thoughts with us. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to become part of the Nerd Squad. We'd love it if you stuck around with us some more and checked out some of the other videos on our channel. In the meantime though, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.